Have you ever faced a difficult decision that shaped your future? The story of Abraham and Lot's separation in Genesis 13 is a powerful example of how our choices impact our lives and those around us. As Abraham and his nephew Lot grew in wealth, their resources began to clash, forcing them to make a life-changing decision. One chose faith, humility, and God's promises, while the other chose material wealth and immediate gain. Their decisions led to two very different outcomes, one of blessing, the other of tragedy. Today we'll explore the historical and cultural context of Abraham and Lot's time, how their wealth created conflict and what it teaches us, the wisdom of Abraham's response in resolving disputes, Lot's mistake and its long-term consequences, how this story applies to our daily choices today. To fully understand the conflict between Abraham and Lot, we must first explore their journey and the world they lived in. Before his call, Abraham, then called Abram, lived in Ur of the Chaldeans, one of the most advanced cities in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. Ur was a center of idol worship, but despite this, God chose Abraham for a special purpose. In Genesis 12, God commanded Abraham, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Genesis 12:1. God promised, a new land, Canaan, a great nation, that all nations would be blessed through him, Jesus Christ. Abraham obeyed immediately, bringing his wife Sarai, later Sarah, and his nephew Lot. Lot was the son of Haran, Abraham's deceased brother. Since Lot's father had died, Abraham likely saw Lot as a son figure and took responsibility for him. They traveled from Ur to Haran, Genesis 11:31, from Haran to Canaan, Genesis 12:5, and from Canaan to Egypt during a famine, Genesis 12:10. By Genesis 13, Abraham and Lot had gained great wealth, including livestock, silver, gold, and servants, but prosperity led to a problem. At first, Abraham and Lot traveled together in peace. However, their growing wealth created a major issue. There wasn't enough land for both of their herds to graze. Their herdsmen began quarreling over water and pasture. The Canaanites and Perizzites also lived in the land, making resources scarce. Genesis 13:6-7 says, "The land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's herders." Instead of allowing the conflict to escalate, Abraham showed incredible wisdom and humility. He approached Lot and said, "Let there be no strife between you and me, or between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are family. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Genesis 13:8-9. This was remarkable for several reasons. Abraham was the elder and had the right to choose first, but he gave Lot the first pick. He valued peace over possessions, showing spiritual maturity. He trusted God's provision, believing that wherever he ended up, God would bless him. This reveals an important lesson. When faced with conflict, humility and trust in God lead to peace. Lot now had a life-changing decision, and he made a choice based on appearances. Genesis 13, verse 10-11 says, "Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out toward the east." Lot's decision was based on material wealth, but he ignored the spiritual danger. He saw prosperity. He saw fertile land. He ignored the moral corruption of Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot moved closer and closer to Sodom, a city known for wickedness. Sometimes what looks good on the outside can lead to destruction. After Lot departed, God reaffirmed his promise to Abraham, "Look around from where you are. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever." Genesis 13:14-15. This teaches us Abraham trusted God and was rewarded. Lot sought wealth and faced destruction. God's blessings come through faith and obedience. The separation led to two very different outcomes. One, Abraham's path, stayed in Canaan, God's promised land, continued to walk with God, became the father of many nations. Lot's path moved closer to Sodom, eventually lived inside Sodom, lost everything when Sodom was destroyed. Lot chose temporary prosperity but faced disaster. A bad environment can corrupt good intentions. What can we learn from Abraham and Lot's separation? 1. Prioritize relationships over wealth. Abraham valued peace and family over possessions. We should seek peace in conflicts rather than fighting for temporary gain. Trust in God's provision. Abraham let Lot choose first because he trusted God to provide. When we rely on God's plan, He blesses us beyond what we expect. 3. Be careful what you choose. Lot chose based on appearances, not on God's will. A decision that looks good now can lead to destruction later. 4. Walk by faith, not by sight. Abraham followed God's promises, not material wealth. True prosperity comes from obedience, not possessions. At some point, we all face choices like Abraham and Lot. Will we trust God even if it requires sacrifice? Will we choose faith over material wealth? Will we prioritize peace over conflict? If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more biblical teachings. See you in the next video.